Left of the box. This is the CBC Coles Notes of the
I think
budget.
we owe the Sandbox. I think we owe the Sandbox to finally tell them how much they're actually getting people for the Canada Disability Benefit. I bet they've been waiting on bated breath for that.
Yeah, let's see. I
How
think this
great
has
it is.
it.
So when I first read it, I literally thought it was the article had an error.
Here we go.
I
So,
thought it was an error and that they meant monthly, not annually.
so disability benefit amounts to $200 per month. Parliament last year passed the Canada Disability Benefit Act, which promised to send a direct benefit to low-income working-age people with disabilities. Budget 2024 proposes funding of $6.1 billion over 6 years, beginning this fiscal year, and $1.4 billion per year ongoing for a new Canada Disability Benefit. Advocates have been hoping for something more along the lines of $1,000 per month per person. They'll be disappointed. According to the budget document, the maximum benefit will amount to $2,400 per year for low-income individuals with disabilities between the ages of 18 and 64, about $200 a month, if you get the maximum amount. If, and this is a huge if, you qualify for the federal tax disability benefit, which the majority of people who rely on disability do not qualify for or do not have.
Nope.
More than half of people on disability do not get the federal disability tax credit. So more than half of people who are on disability will not even see this $200 a month. And $200 a month here in Ontario, an extra $200, still leaves you way below the poverty line. And it's so infuriating because so many provinces across this country refused to increase the amount that they were giving people on disability because this was in the works, because they knew this was coming up. So why bother spending the money when the federal government was about to step in and increase rates and help, fill in that hole? So many provinces across this country didn't even bother to raise the rates that people on disability were living with. Instead, all we get is $200 a fucking month if you qualify.
Like, I want somebody to figure out like how much $2,400 is a day. Like, divide by 365. Because I just want to see how much the federal government literally wants to look at a disabled Canadian's day of all the, day in and day out that people have to experience, to look at them and be like, you know what? We really are here to help you. Here is $3. Go get a coffee and know that we got your back. Like, it's
It's
infuriating.
$6.58 a day.
So lunch, a cheap lunch, maybe
A bagel.
bagel and coffee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what the government basically looks at us and says, like, we made a major step. Give us a big pat on the back. Look at us. We do so much for you.
Oh, and also, this doesn't start till July of next year.
2025.
Mm-hmm. July of 2025.
Yeah.
Like I said,
when $200 is going to be worth less than it is this year because of inflation.
like if it was like, okay, we need to get everyone who is on disability up to $2,400 per month, that would be reasonable, because I look at this number and it makes me sick, because we have MPPs in this province, and the MPs that go to Ottawa, they get this much in housing allowances alone, despite, with all their other benefits, with all their other pay, with all the other gratuities that they get this much just for a housing allowance. And yet people with disabilities get $1,000 less than that. And that's even with that extra 200, depending on which province you're in.
It's just infuriating.
But then it's like, oh, but we're spending billions of dollars. And it's like, well, you're going to spend billions of dollars, clearing those encampments with the higher healthcare fees and all that sort of stuff for people who aren't able to get the healthcare that they need, the malnutrition that they're going to go through. Oh, right. But there's always MAID. If that $200 doesn't help keep you going, there's always MAID.
Like I said, with a eugenical society.
This is so frustrating. Never celebrate anything they do until you see it in practice. Hence why I never celebrated the fact that the Canada Disability Act passed, because it's like, until I see it in practice, there's nothing to celebrate. And now that I see it in practice, there's nothing to celebrate. Like, I'd say I'm disappointed, but I'm not, because I never had my expectations high enough to be disappointed. The government.
I mean, I was disappointed because if you look at every other monetary stipend that the government gives out to help people, for other people, whether it's the Canada Child Benefit, which is, you get money every month per child that you have, and has one of the most best proposals the Liberals have ever actually implemented, because it gives out, like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's close to like $300, $400, $500 a month per child that you have. That's a lot of money to give out per month to families. That's a lot. Or the guaranteed income supplement, which goes to seniors. Like, those were significant amounts of money that was actually given out. Not some of the times it wasn't enough, but they were significant. But to then look at disabled Canadians and say, you're not even worth like a fifth of that or a tenth of CERB is, it's deliberate. It's just, it's an ideological perspective of you're not equal in terms of your value.
I suspected from the get-go it would only be people who qualify for the federal disability tax benefit. Right from the beginning, I suspected that would be the case. Even though I had some people try to reassure me, it's like, oh no, it'd be everyone who's on disability will get this. And then I just worried that this is another excuse for the provincial governments to then not increase it, or to almost even deduct it from what we're currently getting. It's so frustrating. Like, somebody's mentioning, like, don't you get about, wouldn't everyone receiving 200 already be receiving at least 1,200, says Old Snake. Depends on where you live in the country. Not everyone has that much. In Ontario, it's gone up to 1,400. So with the extra 200, you'd get 1,600. But you're considered to be in dire poverty if you have anything below like 2,100. Because average rent for one bedroom is more than 1,500.
And you got to remember that the cutoff for support based on your income is incredibly small. I made working two jobs. I made below the poverty line, and it's still above the cutoff of being able to have support. So I'm not allowed to get disability support from my province because I make too much money. So, like, that's already just like you don't get an access to a provincial program. And this is where we have to reckon with the fact that we need to get rid of conservative premiers and conservative governments in provinces. They need to go, because it's been a trend since the early 10s for governments to go conservative. The last 10 years have been horrible. It just highlights that it's not just Trudeau not doing enough. It's we have conservative premiers that have been shitting the bed for 10 years.
Just wanted to play this. This is the moment where Chrystia Freeland tables the federal budget and mentions disabilities.
As a woman, as a mother, and as Canada's Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, let me say clearly here today, this is an essential right our government will always protect.
I hate the performative nature of these so much. It's the same like when the US president gives their speech or something, and after like every sentence, it's applause, applause. Ooh, you said a full sentence. We need to clap. I hate it. I hate it. She didn't say anything applause worthy, and yet it feels like people who are deep into Star Trek, when Data's trying to learn a sense of humor and he has a holodeck program where he's up on stage and he's giving a comedic, like he's trying to do stand-up comedy and the audience is just laughing and laughing and laughing at him because it's programmed to. And as soon as Gaiden changes it so it's like, no, the audience will only laugh at him when it's funny and then nobody laughs. That's kind of what I feel like this audience is, They're just programmed to clap at any noise that is made.
Basically. It's like a script running in the background.
The Canada Workers Benefit provides a meaningful boost to our lowest paid and often most essential workers. Our new Canada Disability Benefit will increase the financial well-being of low-income Canadians with disabilities.
Bravo.
And we will launch a national school food program.
So that was it. That was the mention of the disability benefit. They're painting it as if it's somehow going to lift people with disabilities out of poverty. As I'm giving my death glare.
And the thing is that she's probably, honestly, going to be the next leader of the Liberal Party.
Mm-hmm. So FB Banana Pants on Twitter. A moot of mine says MPs in Ottawa get over $2,300 a month for living expenses in Ottawa, and this stupid fuck thinks disabled Canadians surviving on roughly $1,200 a month in Ontario are going to be fine with an extra $200 a month if they're eligible. Whoa. And this is from Kamala Kara. She is the Minister of Diversity and Inclusion, Persons with Disabilities, and released this statement. I don't need to read all of it for people to really get the gist of it. Budget 2024 highlights new measures that will strengthen Canada's social safety net to lift up every generation. No matter your age, your income, your ability, every Canadian deserves to feel secure and supported. The government's landmark legislation, the Canada Disability Benefit Act, created the legal framework for a direct benefit for low-income working ages persons with disabilities. Budget 2024 proposes funding of $6.1 billion over 6 years, beginning in 2024-25. They're talking fiscal years there, so that means that it's actually going to start in the calendar year of 25. And $1.4 billion per year ongoing for new disability benefit, including cost to deliver benefit. As proposed, this benefit is estimated to increase the financial well-being of over 600,000 low-income persons with disabilities. There's over 1.5 million persons with disabilities that need help in this country. And $200 doesn't change a person's life, doesn't help. It just doesn't. It helps in the sense that they might be able to buy a little bit more groceries, but it doesn't help them get out of debt. It doesn't help them find a new place to live. It doesn't help them cover all their medications. It doesn't help them with their quality of life. It just helps them as in they can afford a few more groceries every year, every month. But they're painting this like it's this great thing. Yeah, it's so gross. They went through so much consultation, speaking with people, experts and stuff like that, and this is the bullshit that they come up with. This is it. And then my fear is that now that this is in place, this is all we're ever going to get. That now any government will point at that and say, well, we have the disability benefit there, so we don't need to do anything more. That they need to be happy with just that extra $200 a month if they qualify. This is my worry, that they've now just brushed their hands of us, and that's it.
Well, that's where it's going to take being and staying angry for the next few years and make it so that they can't forget that we are still angry over how little it is. Because I do remember that the guaranteed income supplement for seniors, before it was topped up to where it was now, it was a big battle to get the Liberals to increase it to where it is now. It took a lot of yelling and anger and saying things weren't enough and enough and enough. And then it did happen. There's a lot of anger right now over how poor it is, if that doesn't go away, and it won't, and it's directed where it needs to go, I mean, there's always a chance that it can be increased over time. But that only happens by reminding the feds that this is ridiculous and we're not going to stand for it.
We know that every dollar matters to persons with disabilities. That's why the government aspires to see the combined amount of federal and provincial or territorial income supports for persons with disability to grow to the level of Old Age Security, OAS, and the Guaranteed Income Supplement, GIS. This is yet another important milestone as we work towards delivering this critical benefit to Canadians. Together, we will continue to build a fairer Canada for persons with disabilities now and in the future. You can go apply for MAID if you're not happy with it.
It's patronizing.
So then there's just a whole bunch of people that are commenting also that I have here on the disability part of this. And, a lot of people just saying that, they totally screwed us. They planned this without us. They funded it without consideration. They benefited. This benefits is empty and void. Like every other cent will be clawed back. This is ultimate failure. What an atrocity. People are just so outraged with this tiny amount, like $200, really? Like, yes, it will benefit people, but it doesn't actually change the life of anyone. It doesn't actually make things easier. It just means that you can get a little bit more groceries a month if you qualify and if you get the full amount. And I see a lot of these same people on Twitter all the time who are very active in the disability community, disability Twitter, because they're struggling. And then Tory, the left Canadian radical, is just saying, I don't believe in quiet quitting, but if it exists, the Liberal Party of Canada is doing it. They deserve to lose. And then she's quote tweeting just again, people who are so up the ass of the Liberals. Thank you.
He's a Nova Scotia MP.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We're not sending our bets.
And he says, thank you so much for your advocacy and for listening. The new Canada Disability Benefit is going to make a significant difference in the lives of so many. It's not a significant difference. It's not. And just Sarah mentioning that the poverty line here in Ontario is $2,200 a month. And even if you get that bit there, it's actually a bit more now because I believe it's gone up to $1,400. So you get $1,600 a month, but still nowhere near the poverty line.
Well, for us, for someone like me, it would be $800 total, $600 for provincial and $200 for federal.
Like I said, it depends on where you live in the country because every province has their own qualifications, their own rates. There's no standard criteria for it across the board. So that's another reason why people with disabilities can't just move to a new province, because if you do, you have to then apply for disability in that province. As with most programs in disability, they don't want people to go on, so they'll make it very difficult for you to go on. The Socialist Fox saying, this stupid comment down here from the news article saying, oh, they'll be disappointed because they were thinking it would be an extra $1,000 a month for people. And they're like, no, I'm livid. Exactly what I would expect from Liberals who refuse to do anything revolutionary. They will never work to change the lives for those unproductive. This is lip service to shut people up. Tory also pointing out a very important thing for the disability tax benefit. You need a family doctor that a lot of people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very cruel that Liberals want to make disabled Canadians have to jump through hoops to go to the doctor to try to get a disability tax credit to qualify for a paltry maximum of $200 a month. Because you need your family doctor to fill out that paperwork. If you don't have a family doctor, you don't get that paperwork filled out. And I've seen this cartoon a lot. It hits hard where you see the basic supports and the stairs that go up to it, and then a ramp for wheelchairs to go up to the sign that says assisted suicide. It's a poignant cartoon.
Yeah.
This person just saying, so the once-in-a-generation groundbreaking disability benefit legislation to assist persons with disabilities amounts to $200 per month. The legislation was unanimously supported by all parties and most Canadians. A gigantic failure. And I mentioned this in a live stream, I think it was my last live stream or the one before that. 91% of Canadians across the board supported a disability benefit. And this is what we get.